She did the best she could, honoring Mrs. Eloise Hawk, Dr. Deborah Parker's mother. Mrs. Eloise Hawk was born in Portsmouth, Virginia on April 1st, 1935. She transitioned to be with her Heavenly Father on January 15th, 2024. While she tabernacled here, she had her share of life's ups and downs. Her early years were a bit tumultuous. She battled epileptic seizures when she was younger. They say there is no cure for them, but when she was 22, God intervened and healed her, and she never had another one. Also, fortunately, none of her 5 girls inherited this awful illness. She married a Navy sailor named Timothy Hawk, who was often in and out of port, which left her alone to raise the girls. During their 30 years of marriage, he drank heavily and took her through many challenges, emotionally, physically, and financially. But she managed to hold the family together despite the trials. God was her stronghold, and she stayed with her husband until his passing in 1983. In her later years, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, not once, but twice. She had to have a partial mastectomy and chemotherapy. That was quite an ordeal for her since her mother passed away from breast cancer when Mrs. Hawk was only 15 years old. But God was faithful and sustained her life, and eventually she was labeled a breast cancer survivor. Yes, Mrs. Hawk endured a lot in her lifetime. She did the best she could, always spreading God's love so much that her legacy lives on in many of her family members who are now in the ministry. To God be all the glory.